Hi, I'm not necessarily a fan of Cioran, but Martin Butler sent me a quote of his that really resonates with what I want to talk to you about now. I want to talk about taking on the world. Sounds like science fiction, doesn't it? But anyway, I'm just going to read the Cioran Quote. I always pronounce it incorrectly, Cioran Quote. Here it goes. Each of us is born with a share of purity, predestined to be corrupted by our commerce with mankind, by that sin against solitude. For each of us will do anything in order not to be doomed to himself. Our kind is not a fatality, but the temptation to fail, incapable of keeping our hands clean and our hearts undiluted. We soil ourselves upon contact with strange sweats. We wallow craving for disgust and fervent for pestilence. In the unanimous mud, and when we dream of seas changed into holy water, it is too late to dive into them. And our advanced state of corruption keeps us from drowning there. The world has infested our solitude. Upon us the traces of others become indelible. Now, when we talk about purity in normal terms, we talk about innocence, naivety and stupidity. But what he's talking about is your real essential self. Taking on the world is taking on, not allowing the world to corrupt you, to change you from what you are. I recently saw a quote on the back of a t-shirt that said, "Once a mechanic, always a mechanic." And that's true of our essence. We cannot change ourselves. This rung so true for me. We cannot change what we are, no matter how many self-help gurus we ascribe to, how many religions we take, how many meditations we go on, etc., etc. When we try, we corrupt the very mechanism we are. And one day it'll all come out. You'll have an explosion, you'll have depression, or even a heart attack or a stroke. This cannot be contained forever. And most people go to therapists or whatever to understand what's wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with you. You're perfect as you are. We're all unique, absolutely unique. So who are you? One way to understand this is to look at where's your win. Where is your win? It may not always be pretty to see, certainly in yourself, but at least it's honest. Start by looking at other people's, see where their wins are. We're all pleasure-seeking individuals, so observe others and understand where their win is. For example, a competitive work person, his win is in doing better than others, outdoing others, making others fail. Or, even when they compete against themselves, they're competing against the past version of themselves, still competing. Competitive people are looking for that hit of, yes, I'm better than whatever. So that's their win. And I would imagine that they have that all the way going back down to their childhood. This is your essence. Your essence isn't pretty. Your essence is how you were as a small child. We come into this world competitive. We scream, we cry for what we want. It's different in every person. We start with milk, perhaps. Well, obviously we start with milk. We want comfort. We want to be nurtured. We want warmth. We want safety. That's the basics. And then as we grow, we start to find the wins in different places. And as I said, this might not be pretty. Some get pleasure through conning people. Maybe charging more for what they do, or fiddle the timesheets, or someone cheats on partners. It's that little thrill of, yes, I did it. Yes, I got a victory. Yes, I got a gain. It's human nature. Accepting yourself and understanding yourself is really what we're about. It's not about telling yourself that you're a dreadful human being because you eat meat, for example. It's about saying, I like meat. I get a win from eating meat. It gives me pleasure. Some people get pleasure through an easy life, others through feeling that someone's approved of them. There's an infinite number of ways that you can get pleasure. Your essence is unchangeable. We don't mould our essence, our essential selves, to fit society. We can't. We can't change it. But we do add layers that cover over who we really are. It's really much like a magnificent wallpaper hidden underneath centuries and layers of paint and paper. We paint over it. Every problem we see with ourselves, we paint over it. It's one incessant paint fest. But what if we could rip the paper away and just say, okay, so this is what I am. It's not what society likes, but it's what I am. This process that we do with the practice is of uncovering. It's a seemingly simple step to see who you are, but it's pivotal. It's also very difficult, because accepting the bad with the good is almost impossible when we spend a lifetime of painting over our so-called flaws. As a little kid, what did you like best? What was best for you? What did give you the biggest thrill? And some kids like to pull legs off spiders. Maybe they like to explore. That might be what they were doing. I know I loved to help people and felt great when they said thank you. This led to a lifetime of me papering over the cracks of doing something for myself, because in truth I wanted to help myself and make myself feel safe. So, this is what I did. I tried to help other people and make them feel happy, because I wanted that to happen to me. Had I realised, I would have been able to focus on making myself safe instead. Apart from that, I wanted to be alone and creative. I'd make little plasticine figures, and I remember as a small child I created a cricket scene out of plasticine figures, and it was my pride and joy. I got such a buzz every time I saw it, and it sounds trite, but it was everything to me, and that was always my pleasure. It still is. I make bracelets, I make all sorts of daft things, and it especially is when it's accompanied with that's lovely or thank you from somebody else. But that's acknowledging who I am, who I really am. That's hard. I just want to finish with this quote. I read on Martin Butler's podcast one of his Patreon subscribers' comments, and in this comment he said, "We are not adjusting to suit the world, we're adjusting the world to suit us." This is our practice. We are practicing to learn how to adjust the world to suit us. So, who are you? Underneath all that paint, I'd like to hear your responses in the comments if you dare.